go, 5-2. 5-2, topic 5-2 is about solving equations. Hold on. Trying to plug something in. Here we go. All right. As you remember, we've done some of these solving equations as bell ringers, okay? This is when we're talking about things like what's the opposite of multiplying, what's the opposite of adding, what's the opposite of dividing, and then we do it to both sides of the equation. Okay, so when we first started to talk about, let's see what's going on up here, solving equations, we're going to have to set up the equation first and then solve for the variable. Solve for what x could be, okay? So if we, I don't know if it's going to let me do it over here. Maybe, nope. If we think about this problem, Andrew rents bowling shoes for $4. He bowls 2 games, and Andrew spent a total of $22. How much was the cost of each game? Okay, so if we look on the screen here, it says to use the bar diagrams to solve the equation. Okay, so if we total spent, we know is $22. The shoe rental was $4, and he spent B per game. Okay, so the way that I would set this up is I wouldn't set up in bar graphs like this, okay, because this is not the most effective way that I know of solving it and of teaching it. So we're going to solve it a different way. Okay, so if we set it up in an equation that we had to rent bowling shoes for $4 and, not what I meant to do, and means add is what we learned last lesson, and we played 2 games. So we played one game is B, another game is B, so we played 2 B games. And the shoes and the games, when we were done, we had spent $22. Okay, I know this looks like a 6. There we go. Maybe it looks more like a B now. Okay, so what do we do first? Well, this is where it comes into play of please don't call after midnight. Remember I had said that one time? Don't call after midnight. Okay, this is the order of operations for when you're solving equations. So we're used to PEMDAS, right? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Well, when we're solving equations, it's actually kind of the reverse. Okay, so this D doesn't stand for divide. It stands for distribute. Okay, and then C is combine or comb for the sake of me using my mouse to write here. Then we add slash subtract, and then we multiply, slash, there's our D for divide. Okay, so that's the order of operations that we use when we're solving equations. So first thing we would do is distribute. Well, there's nothing to distribute. Combine like terms, well, we already did that, right? It was 1b plus 1b, and that's 2b. So now we have to add or subtract. Okay, and we choose the one that is the opposite of what's happening in the equation already. So this is a positive 4 because it's not a negative. And remember, we're trying to get all of the numbers onto one side of the equation and leaving just the letter on the other side. Okay, it doesn't really matter what side, but since the B is already over here, it would just make more sense to leave it over there. Okay, so the opposite of adding 4 is to subtract 4. And remember, we're subtracting 4 because we want it to go away from this side. We want to get rid of this 4 and we want to put it over here. So to get rid of a positive 4, you add a negative 4, or you subtract 4, and you end up getting 0. And then we put negative 4 over there. Okay, so step 1, done. This is 0, 22 minus 4, 21, 20, 19, 18. Okay, we can count backwards from 4. If you can't just look at it and be like, oh yeah, 22 minus 4 is 18. picture your fingers, use your fingers. Okay, we don't need to handicap ourselves because we don't want to make it look like we are not good at math. Okay, you just need to do what works for you. So 22 minus 4 is 18. Now I don't really have room to write this. Oh boy. All right, if I go back to black. So my next line is I'm left with 2b over here equals, and I'm left with 18 over here. Okay, so the next step in the order of operations after add and subtract, there's nothing left to add or subtract, is multiply or divide. Okay, remember this is 2b's, or it's 1 plus 1, or it's 2 times b. So this is being multiplied right here. So the opposite of multiplying, and we've done this before, is to divide. Okay, again, we're trying to get rid of the 2 over here, and we get rid of a number by either adding or subtracting from itself or multiplying, dividing from itself, because 2 divided by 2 is a big old 1. So we're just left with b, and then we have to divide 18 by 2 as well. So our last line of our problem is going to be b, or the game cost of the game of bowling, is equal to 18 divided by 2, which is 9. All right? So that's how we solve equations. Okay, we're solving for b. We're trying to find a variable. So let's switch to example 2. Good thing about having to do it this way is that it erases my screen when I switch. So I don't have to worry about erasing it. Let's just try one more time, see if it's going to work. Nope. All right, so John has $21.61 balance on a gift card that can be used to purchase online music. Each song download costs $1.29. John wants to maintain a $10 balance, so he still wants $10 to be on that card when he's done buying songs. How many songs can John purchase? Okay, if you've never heard a real life example of how to use algebra, this is a real life example of how you're going to use algebra, because I know everybody downloads music. So if we use, I'm going to have to use my pens over here because it doesn't provide it on the screen this time. Okay, so if John has a $21.61 balance and he wants his gift card to have $10 left, we need to find out how many songs he can buy and to get all the way down to $10. Well, he can spend a difference. Well, what's the difference between $21.61 and $10? How much money can he spend? Okay, so he has 21. Oh, it's not going to let me, is it? Oh man, this just got complicated. So he has 21. Oh, this is not cool. $21.61, which means he can spend $11.61. Okay, so sorry. How many songs can John purchase? Well, he can purchase as many songs as it's going to take to get him to $11.61. So you probably already know how to find out how many songs in your brain. Is you're going to take that $11.61 and you're going to divide it by 129, or 129 times something is $11.61. So if we have 129 and we add it to itself, since I can't write it down, I'm going to do it in small steps. 2 of them is 258. So if we add another 258 to that, we're at 516. That's 4. If we add another 258, that's 774, and we're at 6. Let's add another 258, and we're at 1032. That's 8. Okay, 8 songs. I know I'm going to, if I add 2 more, I'm going to be too much. So we're just going to add 1 more. 129 is 1161. Okay, so we can buy 9 songs. Okay, so how we figured that out, instead of repeat adding, well, we could have divided how much we could spend by the number of songs. So we would have had 1161 divided by 1.29, and we would have gotten 9 the same way we did in the last one. Okay, so the equation we would have set up, I wish I could write it on my screen, but I can't. So, nope, that's not what I need. Maybe. Nope. Okay, so he can buy 9 songs. It would be 1.29 S for songs equals 1161. Okay, that's how we would set up that equation. Let's see, balance on the gift card minus the cost of one song times the number of songs equals a $10 balance. So we found the difference first and then divided. Here's another way to do it. Okay, find out that you have this much and you can subtract some amount of songs to get $10. Okay, so that's what would have been another way, but they still got to 9, another way to solve it. So let's go to example 3. Hoping that it gives me writing tools on the side. Oh, or written out, that works too. So the number of trumpet players is 2 more than 1/4 of the entire band. How many students are in the band? Okay, how would we figure this out? An algebraic and arithmetic solution are shown to find B, the total number of students in the band. So let's find, so there's 18 students, here it is over here, that play trumpet in the band. Algebraically, we would take 1/4 of the band people plus 2, right? That's what it says. 2 more than 1/4 of the entire band. So 1/4 times B plus 2 equals 18, all of the people. We would subtract 2 because there's nothing to distribute, there's nothing to combine, so we would add or subtract from both sides. And then this is a multiplying by 1/4, so we would divide by 1/4, but we keep change flip. So that's why we're multiplying by 4/1. 4 and 4 reduce to 1, so we get a whole bunch of 1s here with a B. And then 16 times 4 is 64/1, or 64. Okay, arithmetic solution. So here's another way. B equals 4 times 18 minus 2. 64 people in the band, the number of people in the band, right? Instead of, we ended up multiplying by 4 here, and 18 minus 2 is 16, so we got right down to this solution down there. Last one, here's some writing tools. Christy ran 24 laps in a charity run and then walked 0.2 kilometers to the presentation table. The total distance Christy traveled was 29.6 kilometers. What was the distance of each lap? So she ran 24. When we do L's in algebra, we got to do like that. Otherwise, it looks like a 1. 24L plus another 0.2 kilometers, and the whole total equals 29.6. Okay, solve for L. How much was a lap? So we would start by, there's nothing to distribute, there's nothing to combine, so we would subtract 0.2 from this side and get a big old fat 0. So we'd be left with 24L is equal to 29.6 minus 0.2, which would be 29.4. The opposite of multiplying by 20.24 would be to divide by 24. So 29.45 divided by 24. So it would go under, right, like this. So we would get a big old fat 1 over here, which is why we would be left with just L. So L, I should have switched colors on every line. L equals 29.4 divided by 24. Okay, so if we go over here, remember I said no calculators. 29.4 and 24. So 24 goes into 29 once, and it's 24. 29 minus 24 is 5. Bring down the 4. Now we're at the decimal, so we can put the decimal up here. How many 24s in 54? Well, there's 2, and that's 48. 54 minus 48 is 6. 0. Bring it down here. How many 24s in 60? Well, 2 is 48. 3 let's try 3, would be 68, 72. So that's not going to work. Burp. It's not going to be 2. It's going to be, or not 3, it's going to be 2 again. And we're going to get a 48. 60 minus 48 is 22. Oh, running it. We'll go up here. 22. Still can't put 24 into 22, so we'll put it into 220. So this is where, if I do it by 10, it would be 240. And then 240 minus 24 would get us probably in there. So we're going to put a 9 here. So we have 240 minus 24. So 216. Is a 4, 0. So we would have 1. And at this point, you can just stop. Okay, if it doesn't look like there's an end in sight, just stop. I'm going to do one more. 24. Oh, we're going to get 6 gets you to 30. We're going to have 16, 160, etc. So we can stop at this point and say that there are 1.23 because of this 9 winded up. Each lap is about 1.23 kilometers. All right, solving equations. Don't call after midnight. Distribute, combine, add or subtract, multiply or divide.